Welcome back to the Nullified Take for your Thursday weekly catch-up for $1 Million Island, Australia. My name is Kahuna, and I am back like a vertebrae. I was going to come up with like a lot of songs that I could put in here, but I didn't want to get copyright strike about, welcome back. Oh my God, I'm back again. And I am Kahuna, and I am going to be joined by... Here he is.
Hello.
The Wonder Boy himself, the great white host. Mucky, Mucky. It's Mucky. What's up, Mucky?
What's up, Kahuna? I'm doing so good. How are you, man?
How you doing, my man? Mate,
I'm doing really good.
I am very good. I look good. Thank you, sir. I had surgery a couple of weeks ago. I took a couple of weeks off. Thank you so much to Chris. Shout out to the godfather of TNT, the podfather, if you will, for covering for me. But guess what, Mucky? People may have thought maybe, I said I'm not keeping the podcast under 2 hours. Maybe Chris has like pulled the plug or something, and he's covering it up. It's a big PR cover up. Why Kahuna? Where's Kahuna? But I'll tell you what, you can't get rid of him that easy because look at this.
Oh shit!
What is that?
Yo,
my bracelets, baby.
I'm
back on the island.
The sick man. How'd you get
we are here. This is a AliExpress special. These cost an entire $1.50 each. So for $3 whole, I thought I'll risk it. I actually ordered this pre-season, and it took this long to get from China. So we wait till the semi-final, the penultimate episode for Kahuna to pull out his bracelets. I wanted to put like the money thing on there, but that got really complicated. I thought red bracelets is enough. And when I first ordered them, I didn't know what was on them. I just knew they had red paracord bracelets, so I bought it. But Mucky, did you miss me, mate? How you going?
I did, man. I miss you. I missed all the wonderful intros, all of our player intros that we did, for Joy, for the Vault, and last week, now please forgive me, Kahuna, but last week I accidentally mucked up, as you will, Mucky mucked up. I forgot to give our closing statement last week, which is muck off back to camp and whip out your bulges. I forgot. I forgot to say that last week,
man. That's all right. You did a great job. As much as I missed being on it, I took a lot of pleasure, and it was a lot of fun watching you guys and getting into the podcast as a listener, which I do a lot for different podcasts in general. So I was a fan for a night, which is great. But we are here, of course, to talk about $1 Million Island, Australia, the semi-final episode. Episode 12 is the penultimate episode. And before we get into that, I just want to send a big shout out to my man, Jonathan Gray, who says, "Oh my God, it's Kahuna. I'm back, Jonathan." This is the man, of course, that gives me all the info I need via his website. The wiki, the fandom wiki for $1 Million Island, Australia, kept up to date immaculately. So shout out to Jonathan. Thank you, sir. But Mucky, couple episodes I took off. What a time to come back. Semi-final. We're getting right to the pointy end of the season. And there's a lot going on. What a great episode. We only had one episode this week, and we got one episode next week. So we start this episode day 27. We're down to the final 10 contestants. What are you feeling coming into like the final 10? What are you thinking at this point coming into this episode?
I'm really interested to see how the final's going to play out, because we don't exactly know. So we know that they're playing for a share of $1 million, but is there like multiple winners, or is there only like one winner, if that makes sense?
That's what's going to be interesting, because I wonder, this is what people are theorizing on Facebook and all that sort of thing, is how is it actually, what's the format going to look like? And if any, if either of you and I were any good at this process, we could have very easily looked up the Netherlands version that went first
Oh yeah,
You know, like there was an entire. Maybe we could have checked the format, but we're more than happy to be surprised and theorize, and that's what we do. We talk about it, right? Yeah. So
Yeah,
maybe like
exactly.
I don't know, because there's only going to be 3. So I'm assuming that they're playing for what is on their bracelet, on their wrist. So out of the
Ah,
next, well, there's still 7 left, right? I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but there's still 7 left. So there's going to be another 4 going before the final 3. So those 4 people's worth of bracelets are going to go somewhere. So maybe like, I mean, Chelsea's already got 380,000 or 390. Is it 380, 390?
I think it's 390.
Jonathan's here. I should be able to. 390. You're right. 390.
Yeah,
She's got 390. That's a fair whack of the million already, right? So I don't know.
yeah.
Like, does she get to top it up with more people that get eliminated? We're going to find out. But Jonathan, we said a welcome before. Of course, he says here all OG's bracelet holders have been found. So one of the things that Jonathan was actually going through in his, overly obsessive, like I started it with my Google spreadsheet at the start of the season. This guy just went next level stuff. And he's now been able to document the number of every single bracelet that people had and assign a person. So all 100 bracelets accounted for. Good job, man. That's awesome. And look at this, my man here.
Hey, my
Big
man,
shout
the
out
vault.
to Voltinator, the Vault himself. The king is back. Oi, oi, lads. Now, when you say the king is back, I saw it at first, James, and I thought, oh, how sweet. He's referring to me. I'm back because I've missed a couple episodes. But I wonder if he's actually referring to himself, knowing Volt the way the way we do. The Volt's like, the king is back. It's me. I'm here.
Yeah, actually, it was so
Jonathan
funny. I think it
says,
was.
I
Yeah, I think it's
have a
like last
very
week.
obsessive personality. Yeah, sorry, go.
I think it was last week. Like the vault came on the podcast, right? And he was listening to your comments, and I was like, "Yeah, the vault, the vault." Chris was like, "Oh, do you care to explain how you know the vault?" And I was like, "Oh, he was on the on the season." Chris didn't know that the vault was was a player.
Well, I mean,
Oh, so
everyone knows
funny.
he's the real estate agent, and we're going to be talking later on tonight, like right at the end. We wrap it up. There is some news about Volt that we might want to discuss about some of the goings on the island, and it makes me wonder
Yes.
why he didn't get more time, because I mean, this is some juicy news. He actually did
Very
say,
interesting.
"I'm the king." Thank you, James. Thank you, Volt. I appreciate you, brother. Um, yeah. You know what's cool about Volt as well, Mucky? I watched one of his Twitch streams the other night, and he does Call of Duty commentary, and it's so
Oh,
good.
okay.
Like it's
Oh,
fascinating
really?
to say. Yeah. He'd be like, I was gonna see if I was gonna try to imitate him and copy him and say like, and the Voltinators in the comments, bang, another hit comment from Volt, that sort of thing. But I'm
Yeah.
not as good at it. It seems so. So much so that I just like blew my throat out with that.
Oh.
Sorry.
I mean, that's just
Ah,
our organs. It's the vault
yeah.
effect.
I'm out of practice. I haven't talked in a couple of weeks, so I'm just getting used to the vocal cords working again.
Yeah.
So yeah, we start episode 12. We're in the penultimate episode, semi-final. Chelsea has the power from the last episode, and she has to think about nominating 5 people for the challenge. Now, at this point, Ant has said, well, we know from Survivor, we see Chelsea actually trying to figure out what she's going to do. And the way she does that, I mean, there wasn't a lot of people on the island, unless she's trying to figure out the bracelets. But we see her doing a lot of maths in the sand, just drawing in the sand. Who am I
Yeah.
going to nominate? And she's doing her figures and calculations and equations. And we know from Survivor, we've seen in the US Survivor, when you draw in the sand, it's bad news for you. People are like, why are you
Yeah.
drawing in the sand? What are you doing? But Chelsea, she's drawing in the sand. We're seeing the fact that she's taking that level of caution. One thing that has been lacking this season, Mucky, what we're seeing come now at the pointy end of the season, is strategy. She's actually trying to
Yeah.
figure out what's the best way for me to get forward with this power that I have. What can I do? Even Log Camp, they're getting their confessionals and stuff, and they're talking about and discussing that the smartest thing for Chelsea to do would be to nominate low bracelet holders, low money bracelet holders, so that no one can accumulate cash in order to knock her out of that number one cash spot. Because Ant has said at the end of this episode, or at the end of this challenge, at the end of this challenge, whoever has the most money automatically gets final three. So what do you think
Yeah.
of this so far?
Yeah, I think what Chelsea did was probably the smartest decision.
Is that the right strategy to play? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think so at this point.
you wouldn't put yourself in at this point. You wouldn't do anything like that.
Well, if I was not guaranteed the final three, I'd say put yourself in, right, to make sure you get the number one spot. But Chelsea, she's already in that number one spot, and she's done the math that like even the winner of the challenge, unless if it was potentially Brett or like maybe even Jordan, like only those two could potentially overtake her, but no one else like can't even get close. So I think if you're like second or third, potentially highest number of bracelets, you put yourself in and you try to make yourself number one. But otherwise, if you're Chelsea and you're already going to be number one, there's not much point in putting yourself in. Just get yourself to the final three.
Did she have to go with some of the lowest numbers, or could she have maybe put a Geordie in? And I think she could have put Geordie and a few others and still pretty much been untouchable because her lead is so big at 390. You know what I mean? Like she could have put like Alice. Okay, well let's talk about she did put in. She was aiming for the low number bracelets, right? So she ended up putting Sean. Actually, I don't even know if she even have a choice in Sean, because Ant said like you need more than one bracelet. So Sean was going in no matter what. She chose Carla, Alice, Georgie, and Rachel for the challenge. What did you think of this arena challenge where we're looking at the strategy? I agree with you. I think she probably did the right thing, protecting her spot, and then putting them in that way guarantees that she's getting through. What it also does, though, is guarantee that Brett is still around. It guarantees that Geordie's still around. And I don't know if at this point it's because they've had that pre-alliance, that secret alliance between the three of them going on. You know what I mean? Could she have made the mix-up, the matchups a little bit different? I mean, I don't know. Do you...
So here's a problem. Math is never my strongest suit. So bear in mind, my calculations may be a bit off the charts. But I think maybe depending who Geordie goes up against, like there could be a chance where he may either get like second highest or potentially reach her. I'm not too sure. I know that Brett can definitely overtake her, but I'm not sure about Geordie.
Yeah. Big shout out. There he is.
Chris, Mad Dog Chris.
Dropping in to say hi. Both you hope you have an awesome live, but he's going to drop out now so he can actually watch the episode. Good on you, mate. Thank you. Chris has been traveling from South Africa. He's got his diplomatic immunity and he's landed in Melbourne. So I'm glad the flight went well, Chris. I'm really happy about that. Watch the episode and let us know what you think, and jump in the comments afterwards if you need to. But yeah, so I wondered if we know the way the games are, there hasn't been like advantages to men versus women. A lot of the games have been pretty equal, like as far as gender goes and physical strength and that. There's always a lot of mental side to it. And I wondered if maybe she was trying to help Sean a bit by making the competition what she thought it might have been a bit lighter, like not putting up against a Matt, not putting up against a Geordie, and having the 4 log women up against Sean there. You know what I mean? I don't know if that played into it all, but yeah, Sean was obviously her campmate. So, but we get to the arena. Oh, here's some specific info from Jonathan. Brett's still 21 bracelets behind Chelsea, and Jordan Matter 26 behind her. That's right. So Alice on like at the end of this. Oh, this is spoiler alert. But the 5 people that went in, there was $120,000 worth of bracelets. Right. There was only 12 in there, so that means that she could have put in a Geordie or a Matt or even a Brett and still been potentially safe. Yeah, or easily safe.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, it must probably come down to alliances and stuff then as well. Yeah.
Interesting. But what that also does is potentially, if you're putting in the weaker competition or what you think may be the weaker competition, because what we see in the challenges is never where you think it's going to go. But if you're putting in what you think might be weaker in the challenges, then that also means that she's left out of that challenge. Brett, Geordie, and Matt all safe, and you're potentially stacking the end game with more viable competitors. You know what I mean? People who have already won challenges, as opposed to first timers. Some people hadn't done a challenge yet, or at least Rachel hadn't done a challenge yet. Georgie hadn't done an individual challenge yet. And now you've got the situation where you're potentially knocking out people that you might have a better chance against in the final versus people that are already proven to be winners in that regard. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, we're going to find out if it was the right decision or not. She was going to be pretty much guaranteed to stay safe regardless, unless she stacked it with all 3 of them. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So Jonathan says this challenge was kind of similar to the first challenge Brett won.
It was a bit.
It was a little bit similar. Obviously, it didn't involve the swim and the jump and all that. So let's talk about the challenge. They have to chop a rope, which then releases a bunch of weights that they have to stack on 2 pyramids of 10 on opposing sides of a seesaw. And in the seesaw was basically a bowling ball. And like, I didn't even pick up on that, Jonathan, that it was kind of similar. Like, it was the balancing. I feel like the first one was a lot more Survivor-esque. This one is a little bit more different to what I've seen before, and I kind of like that. Oh, shout out the player, so nice. They named her twice. Kindness above everything. Joy. Welcome, Joy.
Joy in the house.
Yeah. So it is, when you get down to the rudimentary, like the fundamentals, it's stacking blocks on a teeter tower. It is, absolutely. But the difference was, because it's opposite ends, that they were stacking was weighted differently. So you had to figure out what weights to use in order to keep that balance, because that bowling ball was going to knock over the thing. And we saw a couple of different approaches. Alice started out of the blocks very strong, like the smallest competitor out there, and she was first to chop through her rope up against Carla, who's the survival expert. She was second with the rope. Sean used his man strength to get through that rope, and then Rachel really struggled with it. Georgie struggled a little bit more, but again, like every single game, it's the puzzle or it's the balance bit or whatever. It's the great equalizer, and they all end up on the seesaw teeter tower, as Jonathan called it. At the same time, Alice, very methodical, very slow thinking it through. Carla wasn't really looking at the weights, but kind of was going a little bit fast. When it didn't work, she panicked, started going even faster, and that's when it started to unravel for Carla. And we see, like, it was fairly close. Like, some people weren't falling a lot, some people had a few falls, but Alice, with nerves of steel, like, picking, and you can see them like testing the weights, which I thought was really cool. And Ant even says at one point that you can't just pick randomly; you have to choose the right weight for it to work. You know what I mean? You can't you can't outquick it. You can't outpace and like run from one end to the other, because the ball is going to be way faster. The way it's sort of balancing is going to be way faster than you can run. So Alice, methodical, deliberate, checking the weights, taking her time, takes it out, and the big win in the semi-final episode. Yeah,
exactly. I loved how all the blocks were completely different weights as well. I feel like it made the challenge much more interesting and unique, because often everything is like similar weight, but it's like, oh, do you put 2 blocks there or 2 blocks over here, you know? But I loved how, since they're all such different weight, you have to like really think about, okay, this 1 block could be the equivalent like weight of 3 blocks, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah, I
absolutely.
love that.
So if you're trying to like keep it even, and then you put a way too heavy weight when you've only got light ones on the other side, it's going to immediately just tip. And Jonathan even says starting heavy first was the right choice. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of where it ended. And then when it starts getting a little bit more violent in its movements, you're stacking lighter weights to keep it a little bit more balanced. Yeah, absolutely. The vault again. Look at this. Did anyone else have an orgasm when Carla lost the challenge, or just me?
cheers,
Look,
Louisa.
if anyone can tell us about orgasms out on the island, Vault, hey, we'll see,
Yeah,
we'll see, mate. We'll talk about that later. That's a little bit of a teaser.
a juicy tease.
And Giorgio
Huh?
confirms they could only use one hand. Yeah, and I'm assuming as well they definitely couldn't like stop it from cheating with just grabbing it. Like, don't go. Like, you know, like there was one time when they were putting it and it was tilting. I'm like, just stop it from tilt. Like, grab it. I'm assuming there was rules around that. So yeah, Alice takes out a huge win, in what potentially may have been a lighter field to go against without the likes of previous winners in there. So yeah, like Alice takes out the win. Sean, there's no survival challenge for him. He can't get saved. He's only got the one bracelet, so he is gone skis. He said in his little package there that he seeks discomfort. A bit of a Yes Theory fan, but I mean, he got that one bracelet to go all the way to the end. So I mean, pretty
Yeah,
impressive. You know what I mean? Like, but we say goodbye to Sean, and it leaves us celebrating back at camp. Does the very, very interesting celebration dance. I don't know if you picked up on. I don't know if you
yeah.
picked
I
up
was
on that.
like, huh? Like, what is this? It's something from Fortnite or something, you know? Like,
Someone needs to like make that a GIF, like a reaction GIF when something like something good happens. You just get the.
yeah, yeah. And she had
That'd
like
be
they're both
great.
like a twerk going as well, and
Yeah, and
yeah,
then at the end, it was like almost like a haka-esque. Like it was,
yeah,
she was
yeah,
she was throwing it out there, man. She's happy,
yeah,
and I love to see it. And we also see at this point Matt, um, the lone survivor of Vine Camp, approaches Brett and Chelsea in Top Camp. Now that Sean's gone, it's only Brett and Chelsea left. Matt approaches them. He brings like seasoning and some ass kissing, and is kind of
yeah,
dropping hints about maybe we can be the final three. And if that's the case, Geordie can get rid of
yeah, yeah.
get rid of Geordie, his nemesis. What did you think about this approach here? Like, obviously, um, Sean referred to Brett and Chelsea as the king and queen of the island. They're the two big stacks as far as money on the wrist goes. Um, is that the right choice to make friends with the people that are at the top?
Yeah, absolutely, right? Because they're the ones who decide who's going to be going into the elimination challenges, right? Like, I know that there's no more wheel spin, but I know that for the previous round, it's like, you know, I think Britt was saying that they cover over half of
Yeah,
of the board now, you know, so it'd be crazy not to try beat and then alliance
yeah,
with them and stuff,
absolutely.
because you don't know what power they're both going to have in the future. And I think as well, just realistically, like they're both two massive challenge beasts, just like him. So they're gonna naturally make a fun of the challenges as well. But I don't know about you,
Well,
but I feel
at
like it'll
that
be
point,
the
they also didn't know that there wouldn't be a wheel spin. So with Brett and Chelsea
true.
having so much of the wheel, it was absolutely a smart decision to try to get in with them, knowing that they likely would have a pick, 1 in 2 chance to determine who's going to the next one. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what did you think about Geordie's big move last week, where he took all Vine's food but still put them up for elimination, and then Matt coming back, and then Matt dumping out their fire? Like, what did you think of all that, of the Matt Geordie
I mean, it
rivalry?
was hella entertaining for TV, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I don't know, like I'm those guys similar to Chris, who's like, and Brett and Geordie and Jack, and I'm like, the game's the game, but I still
Yeah.
feel like doing that to someone's face for me would be really hard. like,
Yeah.
like I know philosophically in my head, I have it in my head that yeah, it's just a game, but in reality, to be able to actually put it through, like put it into action, I would have difficulty with that. And I also don't know because we also know that we've seen it so many times now, and I don't know if we only notice the pattern because we're watching from home and we can analyze and we see what we need to see, and it might be harder to pick up on the island. But we've seen so many times, and Ant has said it: relationships count, friendships matter. The way you treat other people, it comes back to bite you in the ass. And karma on the island seems to be a very real thing. You know what I mean? So, oh
Yeah.
look, in the wild says, "Hey
Hey,
fellas,"
Carla.
and it's actually Carla here. So, hello, Carla. Welcome to the show. We just talked about the loss we saw in the challenge arena, but welcome. We're glad to have you here. Hope we can get some insight from you. I'm sure Volt is very happy to
Yeah.
see you.
Oh gosh.
Okay, we just laughed at Matt. So easy to get our fire going again. Rachel. Hey, Rachel. So when Matt
Hey, Rachel.
threw his little hissy fit, you're like, okay, all right, it's fine. We're good. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, those crack up. But I'm not sure what you would do, Kahuna, but if you had Chelsea and Brett, would you like prefer to take Matt to the final three with you, or would you prefer to take Geordie with you to the final three?
I don't know either of them, to be honest with you.
Neither.
I would take the other people that were like, I would have tried to put them in if possible. I would take Kylie, I would take Alice, I would take Rachel. That's how I would try to go into a final. You know what I mean? I would have tried to keep Georgie and Sean around as well. Not that, I mean, we see in this episode, Alice is an absolute force to be reckoned with. And spoiler alert for the rest of the episode, we see Rachel be an absolute, pressure dominant performer as well. And after like seeing the challenge go down in the arena, we get like people talking about what's going to happen there. And I also had a note down. I just wanted to bring up like early in the season, Brett said that he would chop someone's leg off and eat it. We've heard people say that he's eating different things, etc. But in this episode, he literally looks at the coffee beans and goes, "Is that rice or maggots?"
Yeah.
And Chelsea goes, "That's definitely a maggot." So what does he do? Oh,
Yeah, he just eats it. And he's like, you want some? And she's just like, no.
No.
And he just keeps eating.
Man, like no one even dared him. He just did it voluntarily.
Yeah.
Straight in. Oh, Brett, you are such a character, mate. So
Yeah,
after
I
the
loved it.
challenge, we end up with Georgie, Carla, and Rachel going into survival. We've already said goodbye to Sean. And again, the theme continues of survival challenges align with actual survival skills that you would need to survive on an island in real life, which I love that theme. I love that they've done that throughout. Some are more successful than others. I think this one where they actually have 1 hour to create a spear with there's a bunch of resources, but also whatever they can find and scavenge. You know when you say a word too many times and it starts to lose meaning?
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I saying that?
Scavenge.
Scavenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forage.
That's right,
No,
yeah.
forage is food. Scavenge. They whatever they can scavenge in the wild as well, and they have to make a spear, and then they're going to throw that spear at one of the other competitors' water balloon. A water balloon is so good, by the way. I love that.
Yeah,
There's
it's
like
so
a giant water
funny.
balloon there. And 10 meters.
Yeah,
10 meters is a good distance. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
look at look at the love we've got in the chat here. Joy shouting out to Carla. Carla shouting out to Joy. Joy calling Rachel Supermama. Rachel shouting to Carla and Joy. Like, look at this. It's so beautiful. They
so much love.
obviously,
Yeah,
despite the competition, despite the horrible circumstances, despite starving and the some of the difficulty in getting along with others, sometimes there was obviously a lot of love from. I don't know if the bonding out on the island, folks. Thanks. Can I take you the photos? Oh, Rachel, thank you. I don't know if I didn't. I don't know how to take that, but it was. It seems that there was a lot of bonding out there, whether it was based off of genuine relationships or just trauma bonding. We went through the same harrowing, difficult experience together. So now,
yeah,
in the post mortem, we're all sort of great like that way. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
yeah. Look, Carla. Brett is a legend. We would find random dead fish on the ground and eat them. He would. You should have seen him eat the biggest grasshopper that mortified the producers. Man, the dead fish on the
Oh
ground.
gosh, that's just
It's like
nasty.
freaking Gollum or one of your
Yeah,
Sasquatch movies or
Gollum.
something, man.
Oh, did you read the script?
I've not read it yet. I apologize.
Oh,
I
okay,
went into
oh, okay.
surgery, blah blah blah. But I'll definitely get onto
Yeah,
that and let you know.
yeah. Because
And
I guess
Georgia said,
spoiler alert.
"Yep,
Spoiler alert. There's actually a scene of someone like just eating a dead, just a dead animal.
yeah."
So maybe I'll get
It
Brett
was
to play
Brett.
that role.
He's got the hair for it. He's got the
Yeah,
beard already
he
built
does.
in.
He does.
No costumes.
The art department is
Wardrobe.
solved.
Yeah, they're done. Joy said
Yeah.
the producers were mortified. It mortified everyone else. Sure. Rachel said 10 meters is so far. We all thought none of us would hit the targets, and we thought we would all be eliminated like they were.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
Same
right. I
thing. I was
forgot
like,
about
10
that.
meters is really far. If you've never thrown an actual like spear before, one that you've made, I don't know how aerodynamic and perfectly weighted these sticks that they made were. But like that's
Yeah,
a hard challenge. And I was thinking, what if none of them break it? Because in the other challenges, when the other survival challenge when no one was saved, it's because there was a time limit, I think, wasn't it? Or they had a certain I'm trying to remember now, but there was a
yeah,
certain limitation that meant they couldn't get through. But Ant didn't say there was anything as far as limits go, or you have a certain number of throws or turns, or like they could have been throwing till 1 a.m. and maybe
yeah,
no one hit it or whatever. Who knows? But
yeah,
what we end up seeing is, when they're making the spears, there's different approaches to it. Carla and Georgie have shorter spears with a single point. Rachel's is a much longer spear with the fishing hooks, making it the sharpest. And they kind of pointed it out. Like she goes, Carla's looks really solid, but Rachel's was the sharpest. And there was all like
yeah,
what actual approach to spear making would be the best. And they're good with the spears. They step up and they actually make really good throws. Rachel from the get-go
yeah.
hits Carla's balloon. She targets Carla. Carla targets Rachel. Georgie then backs up Carla and targets Rachel as well. So yeah, like there's a lot. M3 Grant, welcome to the chat, mate. I'm really happy to see you. $1 Million Island cast versus Australian survivors. 24 contestants, 46 days. One survivor. Brett and Carla have to be part of the cast. I mean, I'm happy for Brett and
Obviously.
Carla to be a part of any cast, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely. And the vault.
Carla says she's in. And
sweet.
we've got Rachel in as well. So both of them happy to be a part of that. One thing that we know in Australia, Mucky, is that our television networks, Channel 10 and Channel 7, They love collaborating and all that sort of thing. I say that sarcastically, and you probably didn't really pick up on that because you're from New Zealand. But in
No.
Australia, our channels don't cross over. They like you won't
Oh,
get a celebrity from Channel 10 appearing on a show for Channel 7 and etc. except for the Logies. So that's covered up soon. But yeah, like they generally keep them separate. So some sort of collaboration between the two channels would be massive. But actually, I say that, but what could very well happen is not a collaboration of shows, Million Dollar Island versus Australian Survivor, but what might happen is that they could get poached. We might see a Million Dollar Island person end up on a season of a Survivor, knowing that they try to cast celebrities and people with social followings, etc. Or
yeah.
maybe a person from Survivor could end up on a future season of Million Dollar Island in Australia. I don't think we'd ever see an actual like one show versus thing, but you could have cast members crisscross after their contracts and everything is ended up. So yeah.
But then again, there are some people on the show who are eliminated without any screen time. So you could easily be
Well,
like, "What? No, I was never on $1 Million Island. What are you talking about?
I mean,
Come on."
speaking of which, Jonathan says one of the rules should be Million Dollar Islanders have to make to day 10 to qualify. Sorry, Volt. Oh. Yeah, he's a perfect example. Look, Jonathan is just a wealth of knowledge. This is the one I had in my head as well. Lockie was on Australian Survivor and then SAS Australia. He was also on Bachelor, and he's all over the joint. Oh yeah, sorry, M3 Grant. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, here you go. Let's let's go to Channel 9 and meet halfway.
Oh. Yeah,
and then Georgia says Carla and Brett on Alone and Rachel on the challenge, or I'm a celebrity.
Oh.
No one's throwing out maths. No one's throwing out Temptation Island. No one's throwing out anything like that.
How about the vote for Love Island Australia?
I mean, he's heading that way. He made his own Love Island. I'm here. We'll talk about that though. MDI Islanders would get eaten alive on Survivor. That's from an MDI Islander himself. Voltinator, not loyal to his people there. He's saying Survivor would walk over them. So anyway, we're in the Survival Challenge. Rachel's targeting Carla. Carla's targeting Rachel. Georgie backs up Carla's targets Rachel as well. But ultimately, the Skamums end up being the final two. Carla gets eliminated first from some very good throws of a spear from Rachel. I don't know if it's the soccer mum thing kicking in, where you've got kids, so I like. Yeah.
Oh, that was so funny from Brett. He's like, "Yeah, soccer mum," and she's like, "I'm not a soccer mum." And then he just keeps calling her a soccer mum. And then in his confessional, he's like, "One soccer mum against another soccer mum. This battle is about to be a real."
He did a lot, didn't he? He kept
so
going back to the well. I think he meant it as an insult. He was saying soccer mums are very intimidating. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think he was saying soccer mums are not to be trifled with. And Rachel ends up showing that by taking out Carla, and it ends up being the two soccer mums. And Rachel again with some amazing spear throwing. I have to be really careful because in my head, I'm Aussie, right? And I use colloquialism. And I keep trying to, in my head, my default is not spear throwing. It's chucking. And I don't want to say that. It's so dangerous. So I'm trying to keep remembering. She threw the spears. She didn't chuck anything. Rachel even said, my kids don't even play soccer. Well, I'm a parent as well. I'm a father of 3. And I don't know if I do any good at it or not, but I have a lot of practice of throwing things at my children. I make my own spears. I don't have water balloons. It's usually they're very bulbous heads. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I love my kids a lot. It's because I can't chase them. They're too far, so I have to throw things at them. Analysis of Rachel's awesome spear throwing. Georgia says, I like how you stared down the target. And thanks, Volt. Carla and Georgie were smashed. Actually, they were all really good throws. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was just a FIFA World Cup promotion. The throwing of the spears
Yeah.
related to. I mean, we're missing out on the game right now. I don't know if you know that, but Australia is playing Ireland right now, or maybe it's finished. It's second half. It should be. And Carla's standing up for us. Speak to yourself. Like someone did well out there. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. We need like Carl and the Vault, like rivalry, we need them on Survivor. We need the
Volt has
big
rivalry with everyone. Every week we come in. There's
yeah.
Titus a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah,
Call
true.
if Volt was calling him a cat. So he's a pussy out there. Volt just like he's a freaking honey badger. Doesn't give a shit. He just
Yeah.
goes for it. But Rachel ends up taking out Georgie, and it's this huge win for the soccer mum. She a big win. She keeps her place. She was even so certain that Carla was going to win. She was the bags packed. She said when Ant gave the hints about what the survival challenge might involve, she said she was dreaming about Carla like hunting her down with a spear and stuff. So like she
Yeah.
was definitely worried about Carla, and
Yeah.
then Rachel just pulls it out of the bag. Like this amazing throws, amazing win, keeps her place. Oh, here we go. Carla
There we
and Volt
go.
on Heroes vs Villains.
I'd love that.
I mean, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I'd watch it for sure. So yeah, that's it. It's a huge win for Rachel. Unfortunately, what that means is that both Georgie and Carla are up for elimination, and the only way they're going to stay in this game is if someone else quits and survives them. Someone else quits and gives them their bracelet. I
Yeah.
was distracted by Volt claiming that he's
Yeah.
clearly the hero.
Yeah. No, it's I really thought Kylie was gonna quit. I'm not sure if that was just like
Well, that's
if
what we
these
get to
breaking
now. Like,
bites, but
yeah, the thing is, there's only 7 other people there, right? And
yeah.
a bunch of them have already won. A bunch of them have said very clearly that they all want to get to the end. They're all there for the win. The people that were quitting um, have seemingly done it. We haven't had a quit or the number of quits that for a couple of weeks there was no, or a couple of episodes there was no quits at all. But Kylie was guilty. Or feeling guilty. She said because she actually hasn't done any or she did the group challenge with Log when they won and took out Wok, but she hasn't done any individual challenges and feeling like she may not deserve that spot. What do you
Yeah.
think about getting to this final 7 stage and not even putting a bracelet on the line individually?
I think it comes down to a couple of things. You got to think, like, are you maybe being perceived as like a easy win at the end, or is it just through amazing social game, right? Because I'm not sure
Well,
about you,
that
Kahuna,
yes.
but I'm a big like risk taker. So I personally would struggle not being in the challenge and just like chilling all the way through, if that makes sense.
You'd want to
So
be in the challenge.
I
You'd be
would be,
one of the
yeah.
twins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would. I would I would put, I'd put myself in the challenge, my whole team in the challenge, just to be like, nah. Like and I'd still
We've seen
lose.
how
I'd still
successful
lose.
that's worked. So far, we've had one person out of the entire series put themselves into a challenge and come back, and that was Chelsea, who's sitting on $390,000. So I don't know if that's typical of of the experience out there. Throwing yourself into the challenge so far has proven to not be a very successful strategy.
Especially for New Zealanders. My boy Titus walked in so
He was
cocky. He
keen.
was the first one out. Like he was the first one out.
He was very keen, straight out. Well, that is because they stacked up on him. But I want to send a big shout out, first of all, Mucky, to Before Danica B. Sorry I'm late to the party. Getting my husband off to work this morning was more difficult than usual. I get that. When I have to go after work, my wife's like, get out of bed, put your clothes on, here's your breakfast. Nah. That's the kids. I'm just thinking of how hard it is to get the kids ready for school and applying that to her husband. It would have been funny. It was funnier in my head anyway. Giorgio shouting out to Danica. Here's what's actually going on. So yeah, Kylie did get to the end without putting herself into a challenge or being put into a challenge because of her social game. And one of the things as well, we've seen a lot of players kind of not cruise through to the end, but people weren't getting into challenges, people, and then going home in that. But her no Kylie because she was so vocal. She fought against Rock Camp. She called people out and saying it was bullying behavior. She was a voice out there and a leader for Log Camp, and it worked. Like, she seems to be beloved. She's made very strong relationships to the point where no one put her in a challenge. No one even tried to put her in, and and people gave her bracelets to the point where she didn't have one left anymore. You know what I mean? So like, Kylie has shown that there are different ways to play this game.
Yeah.
And the fact that
definitely.
she's sitting there in the final 7 without going to a challenge, when we've seen someone who just said, as yourself, Mucky, you would throw yourself into the challenge. There's a lot of people that, threw themselves into the challenge, took that strategy, wanted to play that way, and it did not work out for them. Kylie's showing that there's another way to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a hard thing because...
So we do have... Let's go back to the... Yep.
Oh, I was going to say there are like two... Because there's two outcomes to that strategy, right? Where... Because I think Kylie got most of her bracelets because of like when people quit, that they gave her the bracelets. But I think if your social game isn't that strong and people don't give you like bracelets when they quit, then you're going to end up in a Sean spot later on. As we saw, there was the D-Day where everyone with one bracelet could only be put up for elimination. So it's quite hard, I guess, cruising, being social.
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing, though, because when Sean last week was saying, I know I'm going to have to go in because Ant said I've only got one bracelet, like you can't have one bracelet, and the price has gone up. And he said, I'm actually happy to go in because I'm proud that based on my social game, I've gotten to this point. And in my head, I was like, you've only got one bracelet on your wrist because no one's giving you one. We've got people that are sitting, like, you know what I mean? Like, we've got, like Carla said herself, I didn't win a challenge, but still managed to get $50,000 of bracelets. It's more social than you think. Many ways to play the game. There you go. You know what I mean? So Sean said that he got through on his social game, but no one's gifting him bracelets. Like, so I don't know what, maybe because Top didn't have the same numbers. They weren't the same quits. I don't know, but yeah. Let's see.
The comments are going wild. Yes.
Yeah, I know. I'm not keeping up. M3 Grant, the risk, Mucky, is you have to back it up.
Yeah.
Now we've seen it's very difficult in this game to do that.
But it's because
Joy again praising Kylie. Yeah, it's true. So you can say whatever you want, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to back it up. I'll just stay here.
I don't need to back up anything. I'm behind a screen right now.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what muscles are down here.
Exactly. Giorgio said Kylie was never quitting. I would say she was playing a great social game, but she wasn't playing. She was just being herself. I mean, that's important too, right? A good person gets rewarded, I guess. Being social is playing the game. There you go.
Yeah.
Before Danica B, I thought Australians called soccer football or footy. Wouldn't that make it a footy, mum? No, actually. Football is like what we call our version of your football is NRL, rugby league, or even rugby union. In my mind, Mucky, the far inferior game, and even AFL is football, Australian Football League.
Yeah, I was going to say AFL. Wouldn't that be footy?
Yeah, that's footy as well. So we got 3 different versions of footy. I think as the world becomes more and more global and the internet brings us all closer together, more people are starting to call soccer football in order to match the world. It's just like America and us that are like, nah, soccer.
Yeah, yeah,
But we have
soccer.
3 different versions of football already. Like soccer as the 4th football, not even the 4th
Actually,
like major sport, but the 4th football specifically would be a lot. It would be hard.
actually, there's this one meme, right? And I don't know why it just makes me laugh so hard, but it was made straight after America tied with England in the Football World Cup last year in their pool game,
Yep.
which is one of the English strikers. His name is Saka, Saka, and there are a
Yeah.
lot of memes from the Americans being like the awkward moment when you're named after a sport, and it was just Saka.
Bukayo Saka. He's a great player.
He's fantastic.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
our stats man, our built-in stats man, he's the guru. Points out Carla with the most challenge losses this season with 4, tied with Alpha. Carla does get the camp challenge to put her up to 1 out of 5 to his 0 out of 4. There you go, Carla. You're not, but not the worst, but not far off it. Joy says Chelsea's in top and didn't put her up because she wanted Kylie in the end. Ah, okay, there you go. That's amazing, especially because she wasn't in our camp. So even Chelsea loved Kylie. So again, that social game playing a big, big part. Jonathan says it's honestly impressive to get someone to save you and then get even more bracelets, Carla. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, true.
So
She did get saved. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Volt, it's true you could be very manipulated and full of camp and other players because the average $15 line IQ is 86.6 from memory. Man, he's.
Oh my gosh.
I know, Rachel, I know that this was not intended as a reply, but it is the very next reply. Agreed.
Oh my
But
gosh.
she did reply to Volt and rolled her eyes. Volt! Here's some praise for you, Carla. Joy saying Carla getting bracelets to save her just shows how amazing she is. Kylie didn't even get a bracelet from Rock in the camp versus camp. Oh, man, Jonathan, you were across everything.
Jonathan's like
you have got all the stats. I love
101st
it.
cast member.
And here's so 4 top members quit. When I said maybe Sean didn't get any because there wasn't that many quitters, etc., but said 4 top members quit. Donald gave his to Tim, Kim to Alpha, and Nuri to Pip, Nate to Brett. Oh yeah, that massive.
Oh yeah.
Rihanna was medevaced and gave hers to Olivia. The other 12 were all eliminated. Okay. Fiery Tiger Wolf. Hey everyone, welcome back, Kahuna. Thank you, sir. I'm glad to be back, especially with you here. Is the final episode not until next Tuesday? And then I think there probably are some emojis that didn't come through. Face fuchsia, tongue out. Face fuchsia, wide eyes. Yeah, next Tuesday. 1 episode a week this week. Yeah, 1 episode a week this week. Next Tuesday is the final. But yeah, we come to the elimination and we've only got 7 left. Kylie's struggling with the thought of maybe does she deserve to be here? And Carla is, her bestie out there. She wants to maybe look after both Georgie and Carla, make their appeals, and ultimately we say goodbye to Georgie and Carla. Carla, love her or hate her, some people in comments and on internet kind of got sick of having her as the narrator, but she really was such a big part of the show from episode 1. I mean,
yeah.
A lot of people were picking her as a winner because we're so used to finding the winner's edit. You know what I mean? Like we thought that Carla was playing such a big role as one of the storytellers, one of the narrators, one of the go-tos for all the confessionals. And people were like, why is she getting so much screen time when we've got a million other people who've got nothing? And I think she showed why. She's great on TV. She's good on camera. And she seems to be well loved, maybe except for Volt. But 5 bracelets on her wrist said she was very well liked out there. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye.
Yeah,
so
it was sad to see Carla go. I was kind of hoping for like a Squid Game type ending where the 3 biggest characters were going to be at the end, and I thought it was going to be Carla, Brett, and Chelsea. So I was really sad to see Carla go.
Well, just back when I said Rachel agreed with Volt for the IQ statement, he said, for the record, I was agreeing with Jonathan that Carla was impressive for getting bracelets from people quitting. I was not agreeing with Volt. And Volt, of course, knows the truth. The
Yeah,
lies,
he
Rachel.
does.
So we end up saying goodbye to Carla, saying goodbye to Georgie, who Brett called a soccer mum, but she's a retired executive, like a C-level executive, like not a normal soccer, like not a soccer mum.
Yeah,
And Rachel showing the way she, threw that spear. Not a soccer, not your average soccer mum either. Even though I don't think soccer mum is a insult. I think they're, you know, if you've got kids at all, um, it's a lot to deal with. And if you can be dealing with a team of soccer players and you're often giving lifts and all that, that's a lot. Like it's a lot of pressure. So we say goodbye to Carla. We say goodbye to Georgie, and Ant reveals that there's no wheel spin this week. So when we're talking about how Chelsea and Brett are saying they have more than 50%, the wheel's gone. But Chelsea is guaranteed to be in the final three. She comes down to greet Ant as one of the first final three member. And Ant says that Chelsea will make a decision that impacts all other players. And that
Hmm.
then he says a tagline that the other two players to join her will be determined by grit, determination, and friendship. So what do you
Yeah,
think of that little teaser there? Grit, determination, and friendship.
I wonder if it's going to be like some kind of weight challenge. Now, what I mean by that is like,
Well, we've
like
did you watch the next week on? Like they showed stuff of like the trailer for next week.
no, no, I don't think I
Okay.
did. No.
Yeah. So they've shown snippets of what the challenge looks like, and it looks like it's gonna. When you say a weight challenge, yeah, they're standing on a very very. It's basically standing on a rope, and it looked like there was a block in the middle that they're standing on, but the block is on a rope. Like you
Oh,
know what I mean?
okay.
Like so they're not just standing on a block that's solid. They're standing on a block that's on a rope, and it looks pretty torturous to me.
Yeah, I wonder if like in terms of friendship and whatnot, it's like she gets to choose like let's say there's like an easy mode and like a hard mode or something. But the friendship aspect is that her friends who she chooses will get the easier version of the challenge. But other
That's the bit
people
that I'm curious about because obviously, yeah,
yeah,
grit and determination. Sure, it looks like it's going to be one of those challenges where you just have to stay up there as long as you can and outlast everyone else through pain and torture and lactic acid buildup and all that sort of thing. I was really curious about how the friendship would play into it. You know what I mean? And I find that fascinating. Friendship. I've never seen like we know in Survivor and even shows like The Challenge when there are votes. Obviously, the way you build alliances matters, but the way these like not alliances per se, but friendships and real genuine connections seems to play such a massive role in this game. And I find that concept completely fascinating that in a cutthroat game for $1 million where you're putting people on the line and they're going home like dropping like flies, the other side of the coin is that you need to build these relationships because it can literally save you out there. Not only from the fact that you're going to get bracelets and get saved if you're up for elimination, but also in the actual games themselves, it's usually determined by one person picking another, and those friendships really plays in. Like we've seen a few games where it's stacking on. Like one person gets picked, and then if you've got three other people that are friends, they're going to pick on the one person that's not. You know what I mean? So to
yeah,
have this game, which is almost conflicting things at the same time, the individuality of wanting to win $1 million and needing to be cutthroat in order to get to the end, but you almost can't get to the end unless you have the friends in the game as well. Fascinating.
yeah,
I'm
it's really, really interesting.
We're at the end of the season. I'm still liking it. Like I thought maybe I might drop off halfway through or whatever, but it's a fascinating concept. And the more I get okay with it not being Survivor, being its own thing, and trying to get rid of my expectations and what I know of being conditioned to watch reality games for the past 20 years. Like,
Yeah.
you have in your
Well,
head how these games are supposed to work, and this doesn't work that way.
something I've done, Kahuna, is I've decided to put myself through a emotional roller coaster by rewatching Squid Game, and I've been comparing Squid Game to Million Dollar Island, and I think Million Dollar
Yeah.
Island is a much more positive version of Squid Game. Basically, I feel like it's more like a Squid Game than a Survivor, because while a lot of the challenges are individual,
Ah,
like the social aspect is still so important. And even in the like, I didn't really like pick up on this as much during the Squid Game because I was like, oh, just the main characters are getting together, it's fine. But it's like the actual like genuine alliances forming, even on the Squid Game, and I feel like that's what's happening with Million Dollar Island as well. It's like yes, only one person has the power, but you form your own groups and then your own subgroups within that to try and protect yourselves and everyone else. But you know that there's still a good shot that a lot of you could still be eliminated. So it's just more of a general wide friendship is so important because maybe that person won't put you up for a challenge, or if it's like one where it's like you have to dump a bunch of weight onto one person, maybe they
yeah.
won't put all the weight on you straight away. You know, so
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Interesting. The Squid Game I mean, we said it at the start. Like, imagine, like, we're probably at the start of the season preview that has a bit of Squid Game about it. And I think the Survivor um, stink or stigma is because of the aesthetics. The fact that it's on
yeah,
an island, it has that same Survivor look and feel. Even the games, some of them are almost like a ramped up or Survivor on steroids kind of thing. Like, it's interesting, but you're right. The dynamic of the game itself and the strategy required is not Survivor at all. Um, so what that leaves us with is a final seven. Chelsea 390,000, Brett 180,000, Jordan 130, Matt 130, Alice newly minted 120, Kylie 30, and Rachel winning her way back in from Survivor Challenge with 20,000 on her wrist. What are you thinking out of this seven, Mucky? Who's your final three here to join Chelsea?
I think it's Brett, and I think it's either Matt or Geordie. I really think
Well,
so. I
Jonathan
think
says that Rachel's premiere confessional still makes me put her in the final three. I think Rachel and Brett are the only people left with a premiere confessional.
mm, it's hard because I feel like we're
Mm.
seeing a lot of stuff around specifically four people, and it's Chelsea, Brett, Geordie, and Matt. I feel like the Matt Geordie rivalry is going to be a big factor into the next challenge
It's
somehow.
maybe they take each other out though, or
Maybe,
something. You know what I
maybe,
mean?
yeah.
Like, yeah. Joy agrees with Jonathan and Rachel final three. And
Yeah,
Rachel even said, clever pickup, Jonathan. I didn't think many viewers would notice that. Jonathan notices everything.
he
That's what's so
does.
great about Jonathan. Survivor brain. They don't show it without
Yeah.
reason.
Let's get
You know
Jonathan
what?
Gray, the next
You know
Brains
what
versus
sticks in my
Gordon.
head is I think I think Brett, because he's been the character. He's the big bad. He's been
Yeah,
like preseason, everything the whole way through. He gets all the confessional. He's the King George of this
yeah,
season, right? Um,
yeah,
I thought Matt as well. He didn't necessarily have a confessional, but the preseason ads, like the
yeah,
marketing, he played not a big role necessarily, but there's this one shot where it's like, "Are you ready?" And it kept saying, "Are you ready?" And it's just showing Matt like looking down the camera, all serious and stuff. And he kind of had like this. It almost looked like I don't know, like Black Panther were kind of like on the throne, kind of like he's
oh
just
yeah,
looking very serious down the camera, and that was Matt. So no one else kind of got that that treatment. He didn't necessarily have a confessional, but he got the preseason marketing and then played no part up until last week. You know what I mean? So why did he get that shot in there? That really high quality preseason, like it's not um, just footage from daily life on the island. It was specifically shot for the trailer, and it showed
yeah.
Matt in big in a big way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Jonathan does have a comment here. If you want to bring it up about Titus's showmance. What ad was that?
Where's this? Man, I'm so There's a lot of comment. Thank you, everyone. There's a lot.
Yeah, it's what is it? Yeah, that one.
Preseason ads hyped up a Titus showmance.
Who's the showmance with? The Vault?
I think everyone's wasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's see. What else can we? Where are we?
Yeah, I don't think I saw that ad by Titus's showmance.
So Giorgio actually asked Jonathan after he said he had survived. Me neither. I don't remember showmance with Titus in the thing, but I'll have to go look back and look because I know for a fact that if Jonathan said it was there, it was there.
Yeah.
So Giorgio said, Jonathan, would you go on an MDIA? Rachel said, I'm a Mega Survivor fan too, but some things MDI have got me wondering about the editing choices, as in Tess got a big edit but didn't even make it to the top 10. Yeah, she also got the preseason hype as well. She was, the Mucky 6 and got articles written about her and stuff like that. Jonathan said, maybe I'm not very good with big gatherings. So $1 Million Island automatically out there. Survivor over $1 Million Island as far as big gatherings go. 100 people, yeah, man. That's a lot of people. Does anyone know what Danica B said? Does anyone know what Chelsea thinks of Brett's comments watching it back? Yeah, how Brett's like, I don't want Chelsea here. I hope she goes out. All that sort of thing. Really interesting.
Yeah. I don't think she would have made it this far.
Tess was the last. Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, Tess played a role. She won a challenge, a survival challenge. She was the last Rock member, so she played a big part in it. Carla said thank you for the support, Mucky. She was sad to go as well. Volt said, I think it's a fantastic show and truly well. Always. So in reply to before Danica V, Georgia said, I asked Chelsea and she said, it's just Brett being Brett. That's great.
Probably, yeah.
We did say goodbye to Carla earlier, so I'm off, guys. Have fun. Thank you, Carla, for joining us. I hope you had a good time as well. Rachel said, we were working towards a final 3, so I found it much more of a team game than a final cutthroat claw to the end. You can't make it to final 3 without support from friends. Impossible. There you go. So friendship being such a big part of it. Jonathan said it's more like a modified Big Brother on a Survivor Island. Interesting.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, Jonathan, I'm not as familiar with Big Brother gameplay anymore. I'm old school Big Brother. I remember the Gretel Colleen Channel 10 version 20 years ago with the Sarah Marie bum dance and stuff and Reggie and all that. And it was back in the day when if you got on Big Brother, you could have a radio gig for life and end up on Neighbours and you would be a legitimate celebrity. Whereas $1 Million Island Australia, ask Volt how much screen time he got. We talked about that in DMs the other day. I was like, yeah, man. Yeah. Giorgio said, Rachel, watching you go into superhero was a great honor. Jonathan says Brett and Rachel will join Chelsea in the final 3. And that Rachel's going to run Frank's bracelet to the end.
Frank?
Was there a Frank?
There are so many people, like, even we were having a conversation today, Kahuna, and I was like, wait, this person was on the show?
I think it was because of the names as well.
Yeah.
Like their their real name versus what they're, Mucky versus Michael, for example.
True.
Was that a spoiler alert? Did people just go,
oh my gosh, you've ruined my identity. Oh gosh.
I mean,
wait till quickly, go.
Wait till they find out while I call you the Great White Hope. Here we go. Yeah. Jonathan said the preseason ads hyped up the Titus showmance. Matt is so beautiful. His face has to be everywhere. And his face was the confessional. So he didn't get a confessional. He just got his face, which is apparently plenty. Yeah. Matt equals for Bachelor 2024. Loverboy Titus crushing on, I think it was Kara. Okay.
Oh, okay. And then it was Kara who then left that episode, but did not give her bracelet to Titus.
Apparently it was one way.
Yeah.
I think Kara's very happily married.
Yeah.
Titus the Showman's was with Harry.
Ah.
Oh, there you go. Frank from Rock. Man, I don't even remember. Let me have a look. Who's Frank?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so many just like names that get dropped, and even sort of throughout the season,
100.
It was pretty funny. Like every now and then, like someone would just like win the spinner wheel, and
confirmed. There
like,
you go.
Oh, because the vault would know all about that. The island.
Well, I mean, Joy's asking, well, how many people did you sleep with again? I can't keep up. They're so dramatic. Wink, wink. Dramatic. So dramatic. I get you what you're doing. Before Danica B said Australia and Canadian Big Brother is better than US Big Brother. Okay. I've not seen that. I do want to shout out to Before Danica B as well. She put this comment earlier when we were talking about the different footy codes, because we're kind of wrapping up now. We've said who we've got our final 3. We're going into next week as the final episode, and we've got a final 7 set. It's going to be a fascinating episode. So it's okay if I sidetrack a little bit when we're talking about the different footy codes here. And Before Danica B said, fun fact about me, when I was 9, I watched Australian rules football at... Wait, when I was 9, I watched Australian football. At 14, we went to Australia. Okay. My dad took us to the Melbourne Stadium just for me. Essendon Bombers comes to mind. Red and black, I think. Yep, that's it.
Oh.
It's not Essendon. It's Essendon. Essendon. Essendon Bombers, yeah. I'm glad you got to watch a foot. Even though I'm born and raised in Sydney, so I played rugby league growing up. I love NRL. Well, I used to like it a lot more. My dad is from Perth, and rugby league doesn't exist there. That's an AFL state. So I grew up watching AFL with my dad, but playing rugby league with my mates and stuff like that. So, yeah. So what I wanted to get into before we get to... Oh, here we go. So Chelsea's saying... Jojo's saying final 3 is Chelsea, Rachel. So she's... Is that confirmation? Are you saying confirmation, Joy? Rachel and... Because I said Chelsea... What's your final 3? Mine is Chelsea, Brett, and Matt. And you went for Chelsea, Brett,
and Geordie.
Geordie. Okay. So we're going to find out. So unfortunately, I'm sorry, Rachel. I didn't have you in the final 3, but everyone else seems... Jonathan knows a lot more than me. And he's got you in the final 3. Joy wishes that... Rachel wishes that Joy would be in the final 3, as well as Volt. So Joy, there you go. Yeah. Or maybe even Ant. Ant could be the 3rd.
It could be.
We'll see. So what I wanted to show you now was an article that I read today from a couple of days ago. The So Dramatic podcast. Shout out to Joy with the reference here. So Dramatic. The So Dramatic podcast seems to have some whisperers telling her lots and lots of stuff that was going on in the island. That's the website and the podcast where we got the when we were hearing about Luke's lawsuit, how he was upset about conditions out there that was pretty torturous and all that sort of thing. So it's fascinating from that sort of thing. Oh no, we're gonna lose Volt now. He's got to go to the zoo because his pelican's acting up. Mate, here we go. Look after that pelican. And here we go. So dramatic. It's all true. So I want to go through this thing I wanted to show you. Let's talk about this website. So dramatic. I'm going to present my screen just so we can read what's going on. This guy. So Dramatic is a podcast that likes to do a lot of tea and juicy, like gossip, scandalous stuff about reality TV in Australia. Obviously, Maths is a big show for that. They do Temptation Island and F Boy Island and all that sort of thing. Any sort of reality show that is more of the scandalous type, they're across. But Million Dollar Island definitely falling into that. I'm going to read this because this is absolutely fascinating. Million Dollar Island Australia contestants have revealed that the show is rampant with behind-the-scenes hookups. A shit ton of tea about Ant Middleton fronted adventure series has already been spilled in episode 300 and 301 of the So Dramatic podcast. Plus, it's also facing a lawsuit after one competitor was badly injured. Now, the explosive intel has reached new heights with news that contestants and producers alike were rooting like rabbits when the cameras were off. Wow. As reported in episode 304 of the So Dramatic podcast, one star claimed that a number of their co-stars were hooking up with crew members. After contestants were evicted, they stayed at the hotel back at Lang Kwai for a few nights. Some even stayed as long as a week. During this time, there were parties galore on the island. It was debaucherous. They added everyone would go to the clubs and contestants were hooking up with cameramen, chaperones, producers. However, it wasn't just... Time. Yeah, well, I mean, they're already eliminated. They're just getting their bang on. However, it wasn't just eliminated island contestants getting it on. Competitors still in the competition were also hooking up with production crew on the island. Blank, so they've censored the name. I'm going to guess that it was Melissa. Pink Melissa.
No, you can't do my cool Melissa like that.
Pink Melissa. I mean, that's not true. I don't know who it is. This is Blank. Slept with one of the sound guys. This happened on the island. One of the producers also leaked lots of videos and photos to people, which breaches a lot of things. Million Dollar Island was essentially a free-for-all in terms of hookups. Despite the conditions, not showering for ages, etc., countless stars hooked up on set. It was a free-for-all, one contestant recalled. Everyone was hooking up with everyone. No idea how people were getting away with what they were doing. They then claimed that a married contestant hooked up with their spooning partner on the show, who was also married. They ended up leaving because they were worried temptation was going to get the better of them if they stayed any longer. Mucky, we had people quitting because they didn't want to ruin their marriage. Holy shit.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, were they out there for 6 months? 4 months? 4 weeks? Some of them were out there for like 3 days, 10 days. Holy shit. This canoodling wasn't the only one of its kind either. Another 2 contestants also had partners back home hooked up. Keep it in your pants. Of course, a bunch of singles also got the root rat bug. There was even a threesome. Melissa!
Oh my gosh. Melissa! No! Not Melissa!
This is my favorite bit. However, the award for most hookup goes to one particular contestant, James Volt, who managed to mac on with a total of 5 co-stars.
Wowzers.
1.
Oh my
2,
gosh.
3, 4, 5. High five.
High five.
Volt. Look, I'm not going to slut shame. If they're single, do your thing, man. Like, do whatever you want. But wow, did that blow your mind when I sent you that article today, Mucky?
It did. I was thinking, it's just like a casual article, but it's like, hookups. There was the Volt. The Volt hooked up with the Volt hooked up with so many people, and it's like the only thing I could think of is the Volt did say in the earlier podcast, Kahuna, he did give us a juicy information about there being like condoms in the bathrooms.
It's because he knew exactly where they all were. He used them all. They're gone.
Yeah.
10 days, 5 girls.
Bro. Oh my gosh.
Volt says, I think we should talk to the 20 Million Dollar Island rats who want secret fame by leaking garbage and don't say anything up front. Oh. Jojo says, I feel like I missed out on so much. So that wasn't you, the nameless person, Joy? You won't.
Oh, oh no,
Vault, like,
Melissa.
I don't know if that's confirmation right there. Was she one of the 5, Vault?
How many days is
Here's a
Melissa on the
question.
island?
Vault, can you confirm or deny? Oh, here we go. Whoever leaked that sound guy part is a rock camp fame whore, or I reckon, or a bottom 50. Wow. Specifically rock camp, calling him out. How many producers? I mean, one is completely wrong. Like,
Yeah, it's
like honestly, I'm gonna sound really like a prude here. I understand contestants if you're single and stuff, but if you're in a professional setting and you're a producer on a multi-million-dollar television program, hooking up with, like, I don't know what it's like, to be honest with you. Maybe you guys can confirm. I'm assuming cameramen and sound guys and even the chaperones, producers, they're all probably, pretty young blokes or whatever, young people. I don't know. But, like, I feel like there may be that whole thing of like a power dynamic. Like you said, are they wanting more time? So they suck up to the producers a little bit too much? Like, are they thinking that?
quite
So
literally.
there's all these dynamics of like. So that gets a little bit iffy, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. It gets a little bit iffy when it's producers and actual workers sleeping with contestants and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's messed up.
Before Danica B said, can I just say your mailers make my Thursday morning? Oh, thank you so much. You make our Thursday evening. What's the next show? Because we need to keep up this weekly live chat. I mean, there's a lot of shows coming down the pipeline where Nullified Tech is definitely doing Traders, the Traders Australia. I know soon Survivor 45 will be coming out. There's going to be Survivor UK that we're going to cover. And Danica, if you've got any suggestions for stuff you'd like us to look at, we've got shows coming down the pipeline for sure. The challenge is always going to be a thing coming up. So we're trying to expand and do different things. So keep in touch. And obviously, we'll be here. There's always going to be something going on. Jonathan said, I can feel Jordan and Maddie sexual tension through the TV. That's why Matt was so angry at the way Geordie treated him. He was negging him, though. Geordie was just negging him to like get him interested. Georgia says, to be fair, one day is like 3. Yeah, okay. So the 10 days felt like 30. I guess this is why the condoms were mentioned a few weeks back, but we never saw it on the show. We never saw them on the show because they were gone in the first week. Oh, here we go, Volt. Can you confirm this? Rachel's saying, surely you made all that up and leaked it to make yourself look good, mate. Oh, I don't know if you know this, but Volt hooked up with 500 women. What's that? Volt, Volt's a stud. They use it. You know what? Was it actually? Because when I looked at it, I thought it looked like water-filled condoms.
Like, the balloon actually did look like a condom.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Did. Yeah, I thought the same. I actually thought the same. I was like, wait, that could be. That just could be.
I didn't look closely enough if there's like, a reservoir tip or anything like that. But it did look like condoms when they filled them with water. Is that actually true?
If there was, that'd be so funny. They had to hide them from the vault.
There you go, Jonathan. The last day at Rock Party must have been more than we saw. Just freaking brown chicken, brown cow.
Brown chicken, wow, wow.
When you're food and sleep deprived hours at a time, your testosterone just kicks in. See, I wouldn't know what it's like to be food deprived. Jojo said all she wanted was food. Man, if I hadn't showered for like 15 days, 20 days, I mean, there's like odors, there's stuff going on. Like, that is not a sexy environment. And not that I know from experience, but I've heard sex on sand and stuff like that. Like you're in the wild, there's bugs, there's people eating maggots, and like they're literally starving to the point where some of them couldn't move. They're all just lying there, tired and like loss of energy.
Yeah,
They couldn't help it
it's
though.
nuts.
They couldn't help
Yeah.
it. Oh, here we
Yeah.
go. Rachel says, honestly, I don't believe anything in that article. So you didn't see it then, obviously. That's good to hear. I hope that's
I mean,
true.
it'd be pretty weird if people weren't watching.
This is what I'm going to say to Volt. Come on. Come on, man. Come on. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Taze.
Taze, yo.
I saw you perform about what testosterone? Questions of testosterone?
Oh my
the
gosh.
taser. Fiery Tuggle. Yep, Survivor UK. It'll be coming. Jojo, I can confirm I asked every single sound camera and producer for food. I mean, how much, like, what did you do for that food though, Joy? Is what apparently this article is suggesting. Like, could you have done more to get food?
I mean, it's
oh
it's
no,
this is...
man.
Oh.
No. No. Rachel said, oh, here we go. Hang on. Before Danica B, the idea of hooking up on the island is pretty ew. Or did you get stuff like toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant, etc.? No, they were really thick bladder for this. Oh, okay. So it wasn't a condom. It was very thick, 1.5 centimeter thick rubber. Okay, that's not the same as a condom. I'm assuming the condoms probably would have burst as soon as anything touched them. You know what I mean? So they did look like condoms, though. Jojo confirms a toothbrush, and that's all. But she was the only one that had toothpaste. Was that like a rare commodity? Could you have traded toothpaste for food, Joy?
Could you have just eaten the toothpaste?
Oh, here we go. Confirmed from the island. Direct source. Didn't you know when they ran out of condoms, they just used sand? Like sandpaper.
Oh, bro.
And there's some praise to Joy. Smart woman, did you hide it or share? Oh. So that article,
Juicy.
I know, similar to you, Mucky, made my day. I was just so giddy. And we've once again, Kahuna comes back on the show and just brings the level of discourse way down. Yeah. This is not a Chris conversation.
No.
This is me going, you sex.
No, Chris, he's very straightforward. Let's only talk about the show. But you talk about everything behind the show, the sex, the condoms, the you make
someone. Jonathan said, "I'd like to congratulate Chelsea on winning at least $10,000 from Ender. Wait, is it at least by getting to the final three? They guaranteed to have at least one. I don't know. I hope that'd be good. Agreed, Jonathan. Good on her. She worked so hard for it and wanted it so bad. And Voss said the OGs are back. Well done, lads. Fucking love the banter. Yeah, thanks, buddy. It's been fun. I'm glad I'm back too. That pretty much brings us to the end of the... Oh, actually, one thing I wanted to say. Now, if anyone out there, this is not a spoiler per se. I haven't been spoiled. I don't know anything. But I did see something today that made me go... It was one of the things that make you go, I saw sportsbet.net.au or Sportsbet Australia actually has betting on this show. And you can actually place Australia, freaking mad gamblers. We're crazy here. I like how they're always like, you can win, triple your bet, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you gamble responsibly on the same ad. So yeah, I looked up the odds for the Sportsbet today, $1 Million Island Australia, and it had all the odds. Brett at $1.10, which means he's very, favored to win. Alice as the outside chance at $11. But Chelsea, interesting. She's the highest bracelet contestant left, 390,000, and betting has been suspended on Chelsea. So you can no longer bet on Chelsea. Now, if you know what that means as far as sports gambling goes, it usually means something's happened where they have to stop the either because something's been cancelled, the game's not happening, or more than likely is that the betting company doesn't want to lose any more money because they know the outcome here. So I don't know for sure. I saw that today. Went, oh, is this a thing? Is it not a thing? I don't know if I even should have said that on here in case people are like. I don't want it to be a spoiler, but I saw it today and thought it was fascinating to go. What does that mean? Interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is quite interesting. But then again, like
Oh,
last
okay.
week,
Okay. Volt's saying, nah, it's just because she's guaranteed top three. Is why, like, she's
it could be
already
it.
there. So she's like, there's no more. Right. Okay. So that's why they did it. Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
That makes sense as well. That makes sense. I just kind of went, conspiracy brain was like, oh, is this a thing? Like, did I find something? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
you trying
Because
to be cool.
because I recall like right from the start of Heroes versus Villains, like there's a lot of like bets on Liz, and that continued all the way
Should have
through
done
the
it.
show.
Should
Yeah.
have done it.
But yeah, no, that's quite interesting. The bets thing. I've never looked too much into the bets or the edgic side of things. I guess you can say because sometimes the sports bets has been off. Like the only time I ever like really thought about it was in season 2 of Australian Survivor 2017, where Odette had the highest sports bet.
Oh,
Do you
yeah,
recall
yeah, yeah.
who? Yeah. She had the highest sports bet, but she had like no screen time, and she didn't even make the merge. So, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen that season. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, Rachel's asking, what are her odds? Let's have a look. Actually, let's have a quick scan. We're going long. We're an hour 30. I've ruined it again. I'm off the show next season.
Yeah. No, I'll make sure you come back, Kahuna. I'll fight for you. I'll make sure that the wheel lands on my bracelet. I got my pocket. Yes, I'll use my
Oh, I've
keys
still
as a
got mine. You
bracelet.
can't get rid of me while I got my bracelets. So here we go. Chelsea suspended. Brett at $1.10, essentially saying like he's pretty much guaranteed. Matt $1.33. Geordie outside of Matt $1.67. Rachel $6. There you go. You're at $6, Rachel. Kylie at $8.50, and then Alice at $11. Why is Alice so much less than the others?
Yeah, that's so weird.
Like Alice just won a challenge, so. Oh, here we go. Okay, so same thing happened with Mike, your favorite, Mucky.
Yes,
As soon as
I
he
would.
nominated himself, betting was suspended for the stupidest move on sports bet. Apparently, source unknown. That's
Oh,
funny.
yeah. I would betted all my life savings on Mike, so I'm glad it got. I'm glad it got suspended.
Jonathan's a sports bet, hates Log and loves Sean. Did Sean get good odds? Was he getting good odds before this episode? I didn't check it before the episode, so I don't know what he would have got. Interesting. Just as Rachel says, interesting. Yeah, it is. So yeah, we all done and dusted. Episode next week. We've got our final 7. Mucky's picking Chelsea, Brett. Well, I mean, you can't pick Chelsea; she's there. Brett and Jordan to join. I'm going Brett and Matt. We've got Rachel as a dark horse. Jonathan all in on Rachel getting through. So interesting. Rachel, why don't you just tell us? Like, you know what happened. No one's watching this anyway. No one's gonna see and spoil any NDAs, etc. So oh right, no, Alice single-handedly kicked out shot. Yeah. Yeah, so they love Sean, they hate Log, and they go, Alice, we're slapping you with $11. So I don't know how you differentiate. Like Rachel at 6, Kylie at 8.50, and then Alice at $11. And because we saw the trailer for next week as next week on, and it looked like a weight thing standing on a block that looked pretty torturous, Alice has got to be one of the, like as far as being heavy and stuff like that goes on her feet. She's tiny. She's a pixie. She'll probably just pull her wings out and start floating there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
if it's quite windy, she'll maybe pull a Mary Poppins and just get an umbrella out and start.
yeah, and she's
and
also
start
battle
going.
tested. Like the most recent challenge, she won.
Yeah, she won.
Rachel,
Yeah,
the most recent survival, she won. Brett's been sitting on his like fortune since early in the season. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. I actually wonder,
So
like, who left his like. Oh, I was going to say, like, out of everyone here, who has had the longest wait before the challenge? Like, is it Kylie or is it Brett?
well, Brett hasn't. I mean, Kylie hasn't been in one.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind. That makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah. So
Kylie did the group challenge, the camp versus camp, log versus
that's
wok.
right.
So Kylie participated in that, but she hasn't had the game 7, 1 second left on the clock pressure of being in a challenge for your life and you go home kind of thing. So she hasn't had that.
Yeah.
Brett, Chelsea was a cut like a little while ago. She won hers. Geordie has kind of been at the precipice. He's fought his way through. Matt's fought his way through. So a lot of these people are battle tested, but Brett was episode 1 or episode 2. Was it episode 1, episode 2 for Brett
Episode
when he
one
won?
and the one where Titus went home. I forgot what week that
Yeah,
was.
but I mean, he kind of slid through that one. They really gave
True,
that
yeah.
to him.
True,
So
yeah.
Brett is in sport. Sometimes in sports, there's a thing where I don't know what is the best way. I don't know what it actually is, but there's a thing of they call it rest versus rust. When your team has time off, it's good that you get to rest and recuperate. But also, if you've got too long of a rest, are you out of form? Have you lost the killer instinct, or like are you a little bit too relaxed? So Brett's been
Yeah.
coasting for a while now. He might be in that rust phase versus rested phase. Food is an issue for everyone, but at least Alice and Rachel have stepped up to the plate recently. So, I don't know. It could be really interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a great final episode. I'm actually sad that's the final episode. Like, I'm going to amazing live podcast with you,
Yeah, me
Kahuna,
too.
but they've always been a hoot. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we got next week still. And I think I've said with Chris, we'll do another episode after the season as like a post mortem kind of thing and a breakdown, what we liked, what we would like to change, what we think they should do in a season 2. And I'm hoping some of the people in here might join us for some conversations and stuff as well to get their insight
That'd be
outside
awesome.
of chat. And we'll see how that goes. So, yeah, Rachel confirmed. Look, I am battle ready.
Yeah.
Yep, I like that. And Joy, I wouldn't underestimate Kylie. She's actually a soccer mom. That's pretty good.
Love that.
Before Danica B, Brett and Jordan have a lot of weight and height on them, so that challenge will be hard. I think Matt has more upper body strength and better fed, so he has a better chance.
Yeah.
It will be easier for the girls. Yeah, that type of challenge,
Mm.
because they don't change it. They don't change it based on weight. Like on Survivor, when you have to hold something up or whatever, it's based on a percentage of your body weight.
Yeah.
Whereas on $1 Million Island, regardless of your size or physicality, everyone's equal footing, which is, pretty crazy when you've got some of those ones of like little tiny women and big dudes. It makes a very lopsided thing. I would prefer that. If I ever had to do a percentage of body weight thing, I'd be screwed. I can't lift 100 kilos, bro. Like, what are you talking? He's Volt. Rest versus Rust sounds like the $1 Million Island sex tape. That's great.
Oh,
And
thank you,
this is
Bob.
very true. Big guys with big muscles struggle more on less calories. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think an hour 40, Mucky. We're gonna get fired again, or I'm gonna have to take a break for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Oh gosh, look at that. Another surgery.
No, I genuinely did.
Yeah.
And I want to say, first of all, thank you to Chris for covering for me. He was so supportive. I said the first week was definitely out because I had the surgery on the Wednesday, and on the Thursday night I was still like, like out of it. The next, I think I watched the thing. I came home that Thursday night, so I was at home and I was watching and commenting and stuff. The next week, I was feeling fine as far as talking. I could have done this last week as far as being on the show, but what I couldn't do was watch the show and take notes and prep properly as I want to for this podcast. So that's why it was 2 weeks. I thank you, Marky, for covering for me. Thank you, Chris, and thank you everyone for the warm wishes and saying they missed me and all that. While I was sitting there, it made my heart like nice and bigger than it already is physically, and it warmed the cockles of my heart, if you will. There's an
Yeah, I mean,
old phrase. I don't know exactly what it means, but you know.
Yeah. Well, you are amazing, Kahuna, and we're all so thankful to have you back, all healthy and continuing to be amazing as always. Yeah, we're all really
Thank
glad
you.
you're back, right? Yeah.
And hey, if Chris isn't happy with going an hour 45, we've got options, Mucky. Giorgio says we can start an OnlyFans.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Giorgio's acting like I don't have one already.
No,
Top 1%, baby. Top 1%.
Normally, I see the comments on the side, so I can kind of see like what we're about to click on. But I did not see it on the side. Like what? Oh my god! Thank you, Joy.
I mean,
I'll take them into consideration.
I mean, there's a certain audience out there that I could potentially make a lot of money on OnlyFans. Like, there's a very, very niche, specific type of people out there that I'm sure would be happy. But I'm gonna keep that on the down low. It's not like I'm on $1 Million Island or anything. I don't have to. So Volt says, well done, guys. Keep it up. Danica B says, I love the long chat. Good. Tell Chris. Rachel says, great. By the way, I'm putting on. Chris has never said anything about it. Like, he's fine. He's happy. He loves what we do. I'm just joking. No one hate Chris. He's amazing. But yeah, great work, team from Rachel. Thank you so much. And of course, I'm going to leave this one for you, Mucky, because I'm pretty sure, as much as I said thank you so much for covering while I was not able to be on, one thing was missed last week, Mucky, at the end of the show. Oh, no. So I'm going to throw it to you, man. I'm going to throw it to you to bring us home. Joy has given you the script.
All right. Thank you,
ready, everyone? Thank you, everyone, by the way.
All right.
Let's go.
Yeah. Right. Thank you so much for coming to live, everyone. Mark off back to camping. Get your bulges out. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. See you all. Thanks.
All right. Bye.